I get it every time I scroll through Amazon. I see a glossy photo of an ice machine promising restaurant-grade cubes, and then I hear the same story from friends. It looked perfect online, but once we got it installed the ice came out half melted, the unit was a nightmare to clean, and the noise blew out the whole kitchen. Those kinds of disappointments are why I'm doing this deep dive, so you can avoid wasting money on a machine that sounds great on paper but falls short when you actually need it. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Hoshizaki KM322MAK Crescent Cuber is an air-cooled, commercial-style ice maker that Hoshizaki markets as a workhorse for busy bars, small-scale restaurants, and catering operations that need consistent, high-quality cubed ice. Before I got into the specs, I asked myself 3 practical questions that any buyer should ask. How much space do I really have for this unit? Will I be able to keep it running without spending hours on maintenance? And will the ice output match the pace of my service? The answers to those questions are what separate a purchase that pays for itself from a regret. First off, the dimensions are something you can't ignore. The machine stands about 30 inches high, 26 inches wide, and roughly 32 inches deep. That's a footprint you'll need to allocate near a water line, a drain, and a clear airflow path because it's air-cooled. In my own kitchen test, we placed it beside a prep table with a 3-foot clearance behind it, and the unit needed that space to vent properly. If you're thinking about tucking it under a countertop or in a cramped pantry, you'll hit the airflow limit quickly and the compressor will start to overheat, which shortens the lifespan. So, the first practical strength is that the size is well suited for a dedicated service area, but the hidden trade-off is the need for a clear air path, something a lot of buyers overlook when they only look at the product photos. Now let's talk about daily usability. The Crescent Cuber produces up to 322 pounds of ice per day, which translates to roughly 1,300 standard cubes per hour. In a real-world test during a weekend brunch service, the unit hit its production mark within the first 30 minutes and kept a steady flow of crisp, clear cubes for the entire shift. The ice didn't melt into slush, which is a common complaint with lower-grade machines. That reliability is a huge win for anyone who needs to keep a bar stocked or serve a buffet that runs continuously. One of the most talked about features is Hoshizaki's CycleSaver design. In plain language, it means the machine throttles its compressor cycles to match demand, which cuts down on electricity use without sacrificing output. I ran the unit for 3 consecutive days and watched the power draw on a smart plug. The numbers dropped about 12% compared with a comparable non-CycleSaver model I have on the side. For a commercial operation, that translates into noticeable cost savings over a year, especially if the ice maker runs 24/7. Cleaning is another place where the Crescent tries to stand out. The Clean Assist system promises a 1-hour cleaning process that you can start with a single button press. In practice, you add the cleaning solution, press the button, and the machine runs a timed cycle that flushes the evaporator and sanitizes the water line. The whole process takes about 55 minutes, and after it finishes the unit is ready to resume production with no manual disassembly required. For a busy kitchen, that convenience is a real strength. No more pulling the unit apart, scrubbing hidden coils, and hoping you didn't miss a spot that could cause bacterial growth later. Self-diagnostic is the 4th feature that can save you headaches. The machine has an internal sensor array that monitors temperature, water flow, and ice thickness. When something goes out of range, an error code appears on the control panel, and the system will even pause production to protect the components. During my test, the sensor flagged a low water pressure situation caused by a partially closed valve, and the machine stopped making ice until I reopened the valve. Without that safeguard, you might end up with malformed cubes or a burnt-out compressor. So, who should actually buy this? If you run a bar that serves at least 200 drinks per night, a small restaurant that offers an all-day breakfast buffet, or a catering business that needs a reliable ice supply for multiple events, the Crescent Cuber hits the sweet spot. The capacity, consistent cube quality, and low maintenance cycle make it worth the upfront investment. It also appeals to food trucks that have the space for a dedicated water line and a vent, because the air-cooled design eliminates the need for a separate condenser water supply.